Greetings, one and all, to UniVS. In this show, we will analyze the stats, weapons, and abilities of two fighters to find out who would win in a battle to the death. Many people have predicted the outcome, so let's see who guessed right and who guessed wrong. And be sure to stay tuned after the episode so you can see the next fighters and leave your predictions down in the comment section below or with a video response. And who knows, your comment or video response could be featured in the very next episode. With all that said, let's meet our two fighters. Pyro, the merc with a muffled mouth, and Dingodile, the cold-blooded, warm-blooded mutant. Pyromaniacs are as dangerous as you can get, so giving them flamethrowers is a recipe for disaster. But who's gonna get burnt to ashes? Let's find out. This is UniVS. Okay, that's enough. There's just not much to say about this guy or girl's origins. Pyro is a psychotic pyromaniac who just appeared on the scene, looking for nothing more than things to set ablaze. Everything about this monster is shrouded in mystery. Through his own eyes, he's a fairy tale character in a candy-filled land with all kinds of mythical creatures. But through everyone else's eyes, he's barely human. A mumbling merc whose appearance is hidden away. While many are curious as to what it looks like, perhaps it's better that we don't know. One shudders to imagine what inhumane thoughts lie behind that mask. What dreams of chronic and sustained cruelty. If you need help guessing what kind of weapon a pyromaniac like Pyro would be using, then you need some serious help. It's a flamethrower, but not just any flamethrower though, a homemade flamethrower with special abilities. Well, obviously it blows streams of fire, but it can also blast out compressed air, allowing Pyro to push enemies or reflect projectiles. Sometimes the short-ranged wave of fire can't quite reach his foes though. Luckily he has a few shotguns and even flare guns to shoot deadly fireballs at his foes. Pyro's fire goes far beyond his weapons though. It turns out he can actually control the element as seen by his Hadouken. Again, it's short-ranged, but it's powerful enough to knock even the heavy several feet away. When he's out of fire though, Pyro also has some melee weapons to make up for the lack of ammo. He has an axe that can also set people ablaze, and some hammers and mallets. Now with all this fire flying around, you may think Pyro burns himself from time to time. But if for some reason you haven't noticed, Pyro is wearing a fire retardant suit. This doesn't stop fire from hurting him, but it does protect him from having a burning effect linger on him. It's a good thing too, his own fire is super deadly, so it's a good idea that he'd have some protection. With his powerful flames, Pyro is able to melt down several robots to pieces. He's also physically strong enough to mutilate a bear, turning its head into a bloody pulp. Oh no, Smokey! How you gonna make it to death battle now? He should also be physically superior to the scout who survived a direct hit from 3 rockets at once that launched him in the air. Pyro himself has also survived being knocked across a room from a UFO crashing into it. Oh, and remember that air blast move I mentioned earlier with how Pyro can reflect projectiles? Well, as it turns out, the soldier's rockets are one of those projectiles that Pyro can react to and reflect. The rockets that the soldier fires can travel over 1,000 hammer units per second, roughly 47 miles per hour. Yep, not even rockets can stop this masked maniac. I wonder what that looks like in Pyro vision, though. Probably looks like giant squash headed towards him. I hate squash, I'd reflect it too. But can fire fight fire? Let's see if Dingodile will answer that question. There's plenty of interesting bits about Dingodile's backstory spread across the Crash Bandicoot timeline, so I'll piece them together the best I can. Long ago, Dr. Neo Cortex and his assistant Dr. Nitrous Brio worked on a device called the Evolvo Ray. Their plan was to buff up animals and use them as super soldiers in an army to take over the world. But when a certain Bandicoot foiled their plans, the duo split up. Cortex focused more on fighting this new foe before continuing with his plans, while Brio continued the Evolvo Ray experiments, this time plotting to use them for good. However, these experiments also failed to stop Crash, whom Brio believed to be working with Cortex. It seemed that just buffing these creatures wasn't enough, so Brio added an extra ingredient: mutation. Brio took a dingo and a crocodile, and bam, he had himself a new mutant that he called Dingodile, which wasn't very obedient and went off to work for Cortex. The reasoning for this is a mystery, but I assume it has something to do with his favorite toy. A possible gift or bribe from Cortex, his flamethrower. Now this appears to be the only weapon Dingodile really has, but it can be used for multiple purposes. It can burn a slow, steady flame like any other flamethrower, but it can also release a powerful shotgun-like blast of fire that destroys everything in its path. He can shoot out little fireballs to damage his foes from behind a wall, and it even has a water gun setting. I don't know how on earth he does this, but Dingodile also has other weapons in his flamethrower. He can shoot rockets out of it, he can generate force fields, or even summon several walls of solid crystal. His flamethrower is pretty neat, just try not to damage it too much or it'll explode, yet somehow still be usable. But just like Pyro, Dingodile's fire seems to go far beyond his weapons. Dingodile can actually create a ring of fire around himself that flares up as a barrier when enemies get close. And he can casually survive just standing in the middle of that intense heat. In fact, he can even survive the explosions that I mentioned earlier, even when they're right on his back. These explosions are powerful enough to obliterate his own crystal force field and turn Crash Bandicoot to ashes instantly. For an example of how powerful that is, Crash was once able to easily survive a TNT explosion that sunk Engine's massive ocean liner. Not to mention Dingodile himself can survive several attacks from Crash who's powerful enough to knock out gigantic mutants that tower over him. Dingodile's flamethrower is useful in more than just attack power though, it's also fast. When measuring Dingodile's area in Crash 3, I was able to find out that the streams of fire from Dingodile's flamethrower can travel 40 feet in 1/5 of a second. That means that at the most, the projectiles from Dingodile's flamethrower can travel at over 136 miles per hour. And now that's a spicy, speedy meatball! But is this mutant menace enough for the mumbling merc? Who's gonna fry and who's gonna die? Let's take a look at your predictions while I calculate the results.
Right. Now you've gone and done it. Them crystals are mine.
Hello everybody and welcome to a UniVS prediction. I'm Robescus and this is David.
Hello.
Alright.
Sounded weird.
I'm not doing this with Z-Dog this time. He did his own video and now I'm doing mine. But alright, so this time, last time went so well for me, so I'm happy about that. But this time we have another debate video instead of an actual prediction video, because we're on opposite sides again. Wonderful. It is the Pyro from Team Fortress 2 versus Dingodile from Crash Bandicoot.
Yay, someone listen to me! That's immediately my first reaction to this is like, holy crap, someone took an idea from me? I'm honored.
Well, this has actually been suggested a ton, so...
Oh yeah, but I feel like I'm the one who thought of it, you know, I guess because me. I don't know.
I don't know. I've seen it suggested way before you brought it up, but that's besides the point.
Oh yeah.
Alright.
I can imagine, but still.
So, this is a matchup that David has been asking for a while, which is precisely why I had him on here. We're both rooting for Dingodile. And we talked about it before.
But, no.
We talked about it before, and we both kind of seemed to agree that the Pyro would win. However, some recent calcs and some recent information has come to light, and it's making me lean more towards Dingodile.
I see.
So, I say Dingodile wins, and I asked David like literally like an hour ago or whatever. I don't know. I don't keep up with time.
Me neither.
And he said that he's still on Team Pyro.
Yup.
Okay, so, David, this is your moment. You explain why you think that the Pyro would win in 20 words or less.
Well, I think a lot of the main reason why I think the Pyro will win, well, first off, if anyone's actually played Team Fortress 2, he can't actually be burned. He can take fire damage, but won't have burn effects.
Right.
It's probably not the same for Dingodile, you know. Although, to be fair, we haven't seen him get burned alive, have we?
Yeah, and he was
Number
literally
2.
surrounded in a fire pillar, and he didn't burn up. So
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean, like, you know, like, he didn't catch on
he
fire.
wasn't caught on fire. That much is clear.
Something else, like... Actually, I think... Wasn't he covered in soot, actually, at the end of this boss battle in Crash 3? I think he was.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I might go play it later, just to confirm that, but...
Alright, since we're already at 3 minutes, I'll say, first off, I will...
Well, actually, I have one more statement, please.
Please make it quick.
Another thing, too, the Pyro has more weapons at his disposal. Not only coming with a shotgun and a flamethrower, but also, I believe, a fire axe.
Yeah.
But on default. Dingodile has a flamethrower.
The issue is that the issue I see is that it's kind of similar to a previous episode he did, where it's like one character has more options in their weaponry, but the other character who ended up winning had more options to those options of said weaponry. Like they have more properties. Like with the Pyro, it's like he has a flamethrower, he has a shotgun, and he has an axe. But that's literally all they are: a flamethrower, a shotgun, and an axe. Whereas Dingodile's flamethrower can also like shoot missiles or whatever that blow off like stalactites or some crap like that. And what was that one in the DS Titans game? He like shot.
Actually, I thought it was more like a water gun.
That's what I thought too. I think, and we're gonna wrap this up really, really quick. I think that Dingodile's calc that I brought up before, I'll put it on screen, being faster than the Pyro's reaction speed, and taking hits from Crash as well as taking explosions or whatever would probably give it to him. So I say Pyro, he says Dingodile. I mean, okay, it's the other way around. I say Dingodile, he says Pyro. But we'll see what happens. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys later. See ya.
See ya.
And the results are in. The winner is Dingodile. Ugh, how come the Crash heroes always lose when I use them in versus, but the villains are just fine? I want my boy to win. But anyways, let's check up on Dingodile's victory. Now, one thing you're definitely thinking is why the heck would Pyro lose when he has a fire retardant suit and Dingodile doesn't? Well, like I said in Pyro's analysis, his suit prevents him from catching on fire and stops any burning effects from lingering, but that doesn't change the fact that the fire still hurts him in the first place. And trust me, Dingodile's fire will hurt. Crash Bandicoot was able to casually survive a TNT explosion that sunk a gigantic ocean liner, yet Dingodile's fire is still enough to disintegrate him instantly. Pyro may be physically superior to Scout the 3 Rocket Boy, but those 3 Soldier Rockets don't quite match up to the power of the ocean liner's destruction. But what about Dingodile? We know Pyro can't survive his fire, but can he survive Pyro's? I mean, after all, like I mentioned before, Dingodile doesn't have the suit. But if you remember, Dingodile can survive just fine in his own ring of fire that can flare up as a barrier. But if for some reason that's still not enough for you, remember that Dingodile also has a water gun setting in his flamethrower, so that way he could just put himself out if Pyro were to ignite him. Then there's Pyro's air blast. He could just deflect projectiles and have Dingodile hurt himself, right? Well, if you recall, I calculated Dingodile's projectiles to reach speeds of over 136 miles per hour. This is just about 3 times faster than anything Pyro has reacted to, as the only thing he's quick enough to deflect are Soldier's rockets, which travel at 47 miles per hour. Now, I am aware that Team Fortress 2 does have massively hypersonic speed feats thanks to Scout and his bonk state, but Pyro has never had to fight or react to Scout in any of these moments, meaning that he cannot scale. Besides, if the Pyro were to reflect any of Dingodile's projectiles anyways, he would risk damaging Dingodile's flamethrower, resulting in an explosion that Dingodile can survive, but would most definitely wipe out the Pyro. Then, when you consider the fact that reflecting projectiles are pretty much the only way Pyro could hurt Dingodile thanks to the barriers he can produce, the odds are just 2 against him. The Pyro's suit can only take him so far when he's up against a mutant who practically swims in flames. The winner is Dingodile.
Break out the butter. I'm gonna make toast.
Get ready for the next battle.